and welcome to Add More Zest. My name's Rebecca. Happy 9th of June, everybody. I've just noticed as I've been getting section 9 ready that 10 and 11 are here. Oh well, we'll end up with a nice square by the time we're done with it. We're going ahead and carrying on. So yeah, I hope everybody is cooking on gas today, as they say over here, which basically just means you're having a good day and getting stuff done. So let me just zoom you in. We do have quite a bit of block work on this one. I have noticed that what seems to now be my sort of top section is actually possibly another row or two longer than all the rest, but it's all good. We just have some days that are longer than others, and they are what they are, and they'll be what they'll be, and sections will get done when they get done, but the whole thing will get done by the end of June. It's the only thing when sort of doing it by section, I do find, because I like to overlap my cover paper just a little bit, sometimes it ends up being a little bit more overlapped than maybe it would another time. So I'm using one of my pickup pens with a very, very stubby tip, but it's still all working perfectly fine. I probably do need to test it with a pencil sharpener soon, get one of those off one of the kids. But I've just done my ABs, of which I think I've got them all, but then again, we all know I've done that before. And I'm going to go straight into my 3857, but I am going to top it up. I do have quite a few tubs of this one, because it does seem to be sort of the outline one. So I'm going to get a few more in and multi-place where I can, and then move on to single placing. But comments, etc. So 2kids at 210, love it. She says, welcome to the Quilting Club, Rebecca. She says one lady that she follows here in the States, who makes quilts for a living, goes by Tiffany's Quilting Life, she says here on YouTube. She said she has been very helpful with learning how to make quilts. She says good luck with it. Well, thank you so much. I will definitely have to look that one up. I have watched a couple of quilting YouTube videos. I've watched a few reels as well, sort of have started appearing on my Instagram, probably because I did have a bit of a search at one point and go hunting for a few bits, which has been quite handy for some sort of like mini tips and tricks. So yeah, but a lot of it now I think is, I've got a pattern. I've got a pattern from a lady in Australia. Purchased it from her because I just absolutely loved the sort of design and potentially the fact that it wouldn't be a major hard one to do. And while I probably could have figured it out, you know, because it is sort of repeating blocks, and I could have probably just done it anyway. In fact, I think I tried one of the blocks before I'd even bought the pattern, and I'm actually doing the blocks a completely different size to what she's doing them, so I'm having to readjust a load of different things anyway. I still felt that because it was her pattern that I'd seen, and in effect her pattern that I'm doing, albeit on a smaller scale or with smaller blocks, that she deserved my pennies for the pattern. So yeah, I just need some time now to sort of do a chunk and then potentially go watch a few more videos, you know, once I've just got to grips with doing a bit more of it. a bit more practice in, and then I'm sure more questions will pop up. But yeah, I will have a nosy and add her to my little list. Grey Legrand, she said, welcome to the Quilt Club. Sorry, this is my pen for today. I've actually got this little selection of pens at the moment. Oh, have I got a non-sticky glue dot in this one? This pen is actually a gift from Janet. So this is the pen that I'm using for today. Just took a minute for my glue dot to sort itself out in the tip of the pen, I think. But yeah, trying to make sure I vary up my pens. So yeah, Grey Legrand, she says, welcome to the Quilt Club. She says she won't tell me how many machines she owns. For now, I'm sticking to the one. She says, but she does have a fancy electric Bernina. I'm not sure how you pronounce that name. I'm sure there is a way it should be said, and I've probably got it wrong. She says her favourite is her very basic straight stitch machine, which she also does free motion quilting on. She says she's very much looking forward to the June Waffle and to the next shop launch. She said she needs some number release papers, which she forgot on her last order. They are good in the fact you can just, you can just cover, our number papers go all the way up to 90. So you can just cover any size painting in it, even if you just want maybe to do them in order, so in number order, from where you start on a painting, whether it be the bottom or the top, where you regularly start. It can be a nice way to keep track of how many sections you've actually done, even if you're not necessarily mixing them all up, or you're not planning on finishing by X date. Or if you do like to finish by a certain date, you could just cover it in number cover paper and say, I'm going to do one section a day. It just may not be 30 days. It may be 45. Whatever it may be, you're going to know when you are potentially going to finish doing your diamond painting. It depends on how you like to work, really, as to what works for you. But yeah, sometimes it's another pretty pattern to cover your diamond painting in. That's what I say. Right, I am going to place this on my diamonds. They're normally not too bad. They're not that strong that they can affect the diamonds, but I don't like to keep them on the diamonds for long, but it was getting in my way, so it needed to move. Tweety says, hi Rebecca. She says she is a self-taught quilter. I've got loads of quilters here. Once I start getting somewhere and get a few of my blocks put together, I will bring it on like a little mini show and tell. She says she's a self-taught one. She started in her early 20s. She knew how to sew, and she did have a lot of material left over from other projects. She was able to get a quilting frame, and she started from there. She said she did not make the fancy quilting patterns. She outlines the pattern of the material, and she made dozens and dozens of quilts up until her late 50s, when her back didn't like her leaning over the quilting frame, and she had to quit. She gave all of her quilts away apart from 4, which she still has and uses, and she still has her quilting frame. she wished she could give it to me, she says, but it costs too much to send. Oh, bless you. Well, thank you so much for the offer. I'm not quite sure how I'm going to actually get to the point of quilting mine yet. I suppose it depends how big it ends up getting. I'd love to do a smaller one in the fact of it's a beginner project, and I'd love to be able to have, you know, the whole start to finish. However, I do really, really like the sort of pattern and design that I'm doing, and I'd love for it to be a big quilt. So yeah, I'm not sure how I'm going to, you know, finish it off yet, whether it's going to be hand quilting, machine quilting, or the lady I'm actually getting lessons from does have a long arm. So she does also do some like lessons on that, and then allows you to sort of, I suppose it's pay for time on the machine, where she'll still be about, but I do it. So, but I'm not sure if I feel like I want to do the whole thing from start to finish for my first one. I'm just not sure. I'm just doing the quilt top at the moment, and to me that's more fun. Well, so far I'm feeling like that's more fun, coming up with the actual sort of design and pulling all those bits together, but we'll see how I feel when I get further on. She says she's sure that I will get just as much fun from making them as she did, and she said she'll have to show us. She said you'll have to show us your first one when you get it done. She says good luck with your lessons. Yes, I will try and give you, say, some progress updates. I'll try and get some updates on, like, just show you like what a couple of my blocks look like. I have made up a couple in like blue colours, which was the first sort of set of fabric and stuff that we got. But then I think I've decided that I'm going to do like the finale, or the actual quilt, rather than just a couple of practice blocks. I think I'm going to do it in different greens. I was going to do it in more navy blue, but I actually think I'll prefer it in some greens. So yeah, it's going to be primarily green, so I'm going to be messing with that at some point. And yeah, I'll let you all know how it all turns out. Right, part of me wants to go to this bit here, but some of these are staring out at me. I don't know. Right, let's do some of these here. I know it's not sort of following my usual pattern of which one to do next, but I kind of feel like I need to close up some of these gaps where I've got a lot going on here, there and everywhere. Actually might even complete this part before I complete this top part. But that one was staring at me, and this one down here is as well. Margaret, she says, hi Rebecca. She says, since she broke her ankle in April, she's finished White Christmas, Christmas Owl from Diamond Art, and Snow Queen, both from Diamond Art Club. Then she did Colourful Amsterdam. She's doing Scorpio DD, which is big, and that's from Diamond Art Club. She says her ankle is getting better, and she goes back to work on the 3rd of June. So I hope work has gone well for you, even if you are more than likely missing the time that you had to diamond paint, because the amount you've got finished sounds absolutely amazing. You've been completely smashing it out of the park, getting all those done. But I suppose if you've got to rest your ankle, you may as well diamond paint. I know I would be if I had to sort of rest up. Then diamond painting is something that is very handy to do while sort of sat there as such. Well, you got to be sat anyway. Do you know what I mean? May as well use it as an extremely good reason to continue sitting there. Every time I need this triangle, I have to hunt for the symbol, and it's right in front of my face. But it's always this symbol every single time. I've just switched at the moment that I'm trying to do a couple of the symbols that are all on the same tray storage rather than flipping from one to the other. Trying to make things a little bit easier for me. Put one back and pick another one up. Livs says, I need to go to a craft show. She says, like at the NEC, which is in Birmingham, England. She says, or there's a Harrogate one, she says, which she went to with her aunties. There was some fab quilting bits and bobs and some awesome designs made. There is actually one in the NEC in August. I might have to see if Caris actually wants to go to one of those or not. And maybe we could make a girls' trip out of it. Because, you know, why not? She says she'll try to find the name. She says it's on the same grounds where the Great Yorkshire Show is held. So that must be the Harrogate one. She says, which she's also going to this year. I don't mind going to the NEC, to be fair, since when I did it with Megan and we actually just got the train there rather than driving. Hubby doesn't mind driving to Birmingham and to the NEC. I much preferred going on the train. Much calmer experience, in my opinion, even if it does take a bit more. So maybe we'll have to go to that. Yeah, see if we can sort of do that one in August and see what that's like. Right, no, I'm going to flip back over to my letters. And let's do some letter N. Livs also says, she says Pinterest is great for ideas, and she has a nosy for diamond painting. Pinterest, oh, I can so get lost on Pinterest sometimes, especially if I'm looking for ideas for a room or for something to do. I can just, yeah. You can definitely end up down a rabbit hole for sure if I go on Pinterest. Oh, I could pin loads of quilts. Oh, now I've got the idea. I need to stop. Liv also says, she says, fantastic news, Jerry. She says, especially when there's limitations in the way. She says she knows what it's like, and she says well done to her daughter, which is fantastic. Jerry has spotted that comment as well, so it's nice when comments are spotted by those they're intended for as well. Cat Lady says she's playing catch up. She went to West Cumbria looking at a house. They loved it and they've put in an offer. They're now waiting for a reply. Ooh, exciting times. Exciting and also frightening times. But then again, I have said many times on this channel, I would dread having to move from this house. I feel like I would need a month buffer. I would need to have 2 houses for a month. Sorry, but I need 2 houses for a month just to be able to actually have a hope of getting everything out of one and into another, because I just feel like, yeah, I've got so much stuff that is potentially tucked in different places that it would just be like opening a jack-in-a-box and everything just flying everywhere and taking up loads of space when it was opened. She says, glad that I enjoyed my sewing experience. She says she has 2 machines. She says one is an electric Singer, which sews only straight stitches, and a machine she had off her mum. She says that one does all sorts, but she needs a bit more time to sort of master that one. She says she's trying to wait before she starts another hobby. That can be the thing. I am very much trying to make sure that I sort of limit my hobbies and see, yeah, but we'll see how it goes. She says she sewed as a teenager and did a bit of hemming of cat blankets when she had the cattery, but she wants to make some project bags. She has the fabric and the pattern, she says, but it does need to wait until she moves, and then she'll have the room to work on it instead of using the dining table. She stayed away from joining the quilting club at her local library, she says, but it did tempt her. I'm so not surprised. You know, winter will be here before you know it. If you're in the UK, it probably feels like it's here already, because frankly the weather cannot make its mind up. And yeah, we've all got to be warm and toasty, have we not? Right, I want to do some multi-placing on this one, so I'm going to top my diamonds up. Pam, she says, hi Rebecca. She says she is not a quilter, but she loves to diamond paint. She says she finally got her apartment in order, and she has diamond painted 2 30 by 40s, and now she's working on a 70 by 40. She says she thinks that the walking in the rain diamond painting is coming out so beautifully. It is. It's coming out amazing. I'm absolutely loving how that painting is coming out. I can't wait to do another Heaven and Earth design afterwards as well. I think a lot of that is due to the fact that my next Heaven and Earth design is nowhere near as daunting as my first one. I've definitely gone milder with my second one, which will be a mini chart. So yeah, I'm excited to do that, and then I'm excited, of course, because I will then be moving on to Outside the Sweet Shop. So I'm very excited for my Thursday projects to come. Carrie, she says, another great waffle. She says today she went and ordered a new phone. She says her current one broke. She says it's still working, she says, but she doesn't know how much longer. So she's ordered the Google Pixel Pro 8. She says she's excited, Pixel 8 Pro. She says she's so excited for it to come. Hopefully, she says, early next week. And her TMS treatment for depression is going well. She says it takes a little bit of time to notice the changes, but she's watching for those subtle ones. She says she was notified yesterday that her first order from Admiral Zest has left the UK, so she's watching for it and she's so excited for it. Well, that comment was left a week ago, so hopefully that will be with you already by now. She says thanks for all you do, and she's ready for the June waffle. Kim says she will definitely be investigating on the Kindle app, the folder option, she says, and she will let me know how it goes. So hopefully that has worked for you, Kim. Jerry has also said that she has the Kindle app on her tablet and her phone. She says she has all of her books arranged in folders that she wants. So press and hold the book that you want and then choose to add to a collection, and then you can create new collections and start putting books in folders that you want to. There we go, a little bit more detailed instructions, and Kim is probably lost in the world of sorting out her books right now. She says then you can create new collections, start putting books in the folders. She says she has hers arranged by the year she's read them. However, also putting them into folders by authors or series is also a great idea. So if you do like a couple of different series by the same author, then you could definitely split those up, because then if you did want to sort of reread one of a series, you know, you can just go into that one sort of collection and do it all from there, which is probably the way I'd go. It would probably potentially be authors unless they have a series, and then I'd possibly name it according to the series, to be honest. But it's whatever, it's however you think of them outside of any collection or folder. How do you think about the books? Do you think, oh, because I think JD Robb series, but of course on the JD Robb she does only write that one series, but like, how do you think about the collection? Do you think of it by author, or do you think of it by collection name, or by like the lead character in the book, and organise them by that, which should be fantastic. Right, what do I want now? I'm going to do some of these up here, get this green part filled in, and then I don't have to keep looking at it and thinking I'm missing bits. Kim, she said she had to go look up the fabric cutting machine that I talked about, AccuQuilt. She says, man, if that was a thing, she says when she was learning to quilt, she said she might have actually stuck to quilting. She says, what a game changer. She says, because cutting straight with either scissors or a rotary cutter was impossible for her. She says, good luck with sewing those triangles together and continue to have a blast. Yeah, I've always followed one person on Instagram that does quilting. I'm not sure what it is. You know, it's the half interest in quilting that has, of course, made me start to follow him. But yeah, I got interested, I think, in like a community quilt block that he was doing. It's Rose City Originals. So I've always sort of had, you know, the odd video and stuff from him that's come up that I've been able to see, and I've seen when he works with the AccuQuilt, and the triangles was actually more the one than potentially any squares. So with the triangles, because it cuts that corner off that normally if you do a square of material and then cut it, you then have to tidy up the edges and cut off what they call those little dog ears. Whereas with this, the AccuQuilt sort of cuts that part off for you, which means when you've stitched it together, it's ready to then stitch into a block. So yeah, it's because of watching him that I've sort of known about it. And then when I found this pattern that is basically primarily triangles, the whole quilt is made up from triangles, I was like, right, I need one. So I have ended up with a small one. I did try to purchase the bigger one, but secondhand a couple of different times, a couple of different places. One like a Facebook group, a Facebook selling group, and once via Marketplace. And both times I was practically ignored by the seller. So I ended up getting the smaller one and just purchasing it direct from a shop. And then one of the sellers got back to me and it's like, oh, are you interested still? Somebody didn't come pick it up. And it's like, too late. So anyway, what will be, what will be. I've been loving messing with the triangles I've done anyway, so far. Right. Let's get my little ducks in a row, because I think we're going to have quite a bit of multi-placing on this. Thing is, I don't like it when it picks up 5 but doesn't keep the 5th one straight. So it picks up an extra one but then only holds on to it by the edge. And I feel like I have to knock it off because it's just going to get in my way. But let's try and actually fill in some of these 2s before I go off. Trying to get it so I can just pick up 2, but a couple of these have 1 diamond sort of balancing the wrong way up. Sorry, I just needed to switch my battery over. But yeah, some of these have like one balancing upside down on the end of the line, which when I'm doing 4 is fine because I just avoid it. But when I'm trying to do just a couple, then I like to be able to pick them up from the end of the line with no messing. So, and then eventually they get caught on my pen anyway and I knock them off. Just picks it up just a little bit. D, remembered that she allows me to just call her D before I try and read out her name and say it completely wrong. She says, hello everyone. She says that's a lot of 939, which there is in some places on Walking in the Rain. There is a lot of 939, though it's not awful. I think because it's very confetti heavy, there's definitely enough others in there. She says she's just kitted up her June Waffle project, and she has 5 bags of 310. And she's now got the dreaded feelings of whether she wants to work on it or not. You can do it. If you like the image, then potentially, depending on the size of it, so it does depend on how big it is, but it may be the ideal project for a June waffle. Because, and I do say depending on the size of it, because if your sections are ginormous and they're going to take a huge amount of time each day, then it may feel like it's wrong for June waffle. But if your sections are an easily manageable size, so either a cover paper size or even less, then June waffle is the ideal time to do it. Couple of reasons. One, you can just do that one section a day and then have another painting kitted up, or other projects to do, whether they be off the canvas, whether they be paint gem, whether it be a completely different hobby altogether. And you move to the other thing that you're doing each time you finish a section. So you just limit it to one section a day so that you don't get too wiped out of all the 310. But you know when your end date is. Whereas other times it can be very daunting when you've got something with a lot of 310s in, because you'll always either do one of two things. So you will either go into the painting thinking it's not going to take a lot of time at all. Oh, this will only take me a week. And as soon as it drags over a week, every single diamond you place feels like torture. Or you go into it thinking this is going to take me forever, and you just dread doing a section from pretty much day one because it's going to take you forever, and it actually doesn't end up taking as long as you thought. So having it sectioned into X number of days and doing X amount per day ends up meaning that you know when it's going to end. You are only doing one section, so then you can go, oh, well, I've done my one section, I'll move on to something else, and you can go on to enjoy something else. Just topping up my diamonds. Yeah, you can move on to do something else and have something else to do, and you'll get finished the project that, while might not be the most exciting with that much 310, you obviously like the image because you bought it. Kathy, she says she's glad to hear that I am enjoying learning to quilt. She says, just curious. She says, which sewing machine did you and your daughter choose? She says she's been sewing for over 50 years, making her own clothes, doll clothes, and she did a little bit of quilting at one point. And now that she's found diamond painting, she said it's not getting much attention these days. I think things do move about. Like, you found diamond painting, you'll do diamond painting, then you may go back to your sewing machine for a while, then you may go back to diamond painting, and then you may find your happy little medium and just intermingle between the two, which to me is sort of the happy place. And that's very much what I'm trying to do with this hobby, is sort of not let it take over too much, because I haven't fallen out of love with diamond painting. I'm not trying to find something to replace it. So I'm trying to still keep the nice mixture of the two. But which one did we get? We got a Janome. It was a QS machine, but I think it was like their so it's one of their digital sewing machines, and I can't remember the actual number of it, and I'm not sure if it's on the machine either. But yeah, it wasn't their most basic sewing machine, most basic digital sewing machine. That one, the most basic one, was actually one that we were practicing on at our quilting lesson, or the one I was using. My daughter was using the very expensive one that we both absolutely loved, but were not paying the price of, because it was like £3,500 or something. So yeah, it was a Janome. It was from their QS range, potentially I think their most basic QS range, because we did look at the second one up, and the actual only difference on the second one up, the next one up, was it said that the magnifying glass wouldn't attach to it, and then the woman in the shop tested it and it did. So it was like, well, no, I prefer this other one. I just preferred the look of it and the position of the button. But yeah, the most basic digital one that they did, I say, was the one we used in the quilting lesson. But the on-off button, if you're not using the foot pedal, I felt was just a little bit too tucked under the machine. It was on the front, but it was on the front that then angles down, and I just felt like it just went a little bit, it was a little bit awkward to try and turn it on and off with either hand. It wasn't so bad with the right, but it was harder with the left. Whereas, yeah, this next level up machine that we got was pretty good. Plus, it did have the cut thread button on it, which I actually find fantastic. It raises the needle, it cuts the thread, and you know that you're ready to just start stitching again. But yeah, it's so, I mean, I've only ever had basic machines before. I say I just ended up getting a cheaper one. I was only doing it on paper. I did quite a lot of sewing on paper when I did scrapbooking. I absolutely loved it. But yeah, it was more a basic, just with a foot pedal. Did a few fancy stitches, which I potentially used on my scrapbooking pages, but not too many. Yeah, and I never knew digital was a thing. But we're very much enjoying the digital at the moment as well, because we can control the speed. And that is a big thing for us at the moment. We want to go slow and steady and, you know, get it at a nice pace where it's still moving, but gives us chance to move anything that we need to move because we've got it in the wrong place. I do think, once we get to bigger parts of the quilt and dealing with bigger sections of the quilt, then we will potentially need to use the foot pedal. But for now, the on-off switch and keeping it at not quite a snail's pace but close is working best for us. So I will try and remember the actual, note down the actual machine number, and hopefully I did get even the brand right. I'm pretty sure I did, but you never know. Anyway, we are done with another section. We've got this part of the wall and we're actually moving over here tomorrow. So we're going to end up with this completed. But I say that's what happens when you just sort of shuffle them all up and dish them out. We've got a lot of the sort of teen numbers all the way up here. But then, you know, the final one's up here as well. So we shall see how this all goes. We do get to do a couple of teens down here to get some longer sections that are coming in. But that is the one done for today. So thank you all so much for joining me, and I'll speak to you all again tomorrow.